you see fit. All right, we're rolling.
Okay.
Let's hope that I'm in frame.
Well, we can do it again later.
Hello, future Rahel.
Hello, Josh.
Hello, Rahel.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
So I'm here today with Josh, and I'm here in the middle of Moscow. I'm not 100% sure where I am, but I'm at his apartment. And
Yes.
I'm here because I do improv theater, and Josh does improv theater.
Guilty.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you come to do improv theater at all?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story-ish. People seem interested when I tell it.
Now tell us about it.
So I kind of got into improv. Well, before, like when I was young, we used to watch like the improv championships on TV. So just for laughs at that. And when I was a bit older, around 13, 14, 15 years old, I can't remember exactly, my parents were on an improv troupe. So they got accepted. They did theater with someone who was a Second City alum in this small town, and she went with an improv group. So they got chosen. They had like a secret audition thing, and they were picked to do it. So I would sometimes go to the rehearsals, or they'd have rehearsals at our place, so I would watch them do improv. And then I got some friends together, and we asked her to give us some workshops, and kind of from there, on and off, doing improv with Vancouver Theatre Sports, and in university a bit, and here and there, yeah.
So for how long have you been doing improv?
Well, I mean, I guess if I was like 13, let's say, that would have been, 16 years ago. But it wasn't like straight through.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, I studied more theater in university for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We had someone come up from Vancouver Theatre Sports every year to do a workshop. I did a workshop. I did like the courses with them, with Vancouver Theatre Sports League with my mom. We would drive down to Vancouver
Cool.
every Saturday and Sunday for like a couple weeks to take 8-hour improv courses there.
Like a true improv family.
Yeah, essentially. My mom still she reads all the books, and she applied for like corporate training in her business world. My dad has run some improv workshops for kids. My sister has run them with my dad.
So you're kind of all through improv.
Yeah. Well, my parents even it's like arts is kind of in our blood. And my parents met in high school drama class. They were in a musical together.
Beautiful.
So yeah, in Godspell, during Godspell. So that's kind of how it all started when we moved town. My dad jumped into the theater, and my mum did a show once. She usually plays piano for the shows, music directs, yeah.
But now you're here in Moscow, and
Yes, I
how are you connected here with improv? What do you do here?
What do I do here? Shows, I guess, and workshops and courses. Yeah, that basically sums it up. I play in a couple different groups. Here, running some courses right now. I have a kind of a team group that I'm doing improv with. I want to start doing it at the school I teach at, maybe as an extracurricular thing. We'll see if that happens, probably won't. But I'm pushing for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just kind of growing the community, trying to, and doing as much as I can. Get my little hands in everything.
Cool. Tell me about the Moscow improv community or Moscow improv. What's it like briefly?
Well, I would say right now it's a bit fractured. We've recently put on an event that you were a part of, if you remember. Yeah.
Yes, I do remember.
And the idea for that event was, as a big mixer, kind of came apart because Francis, a colleague of mine, fellow improviser, we were at a festival and we were talking about how fractured it is in Moscow, and we want to bring everyone together. So that's kind of, what's happening right now. So hopefully in the future we'll all kind of come together and work more closely with each other, do more shows and performances, and maybe even courses or things like that together. So right now, Improv in Moscow is fairly young. 5-6 years, I think, has kind of been since people
for like improv groups to be there.
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm fairly new to Moscow Improv. I've only been doing it for about 2 years here. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. It can be a bit different. Yeah, it's interesting to see Russian improvisers performing, for sure.
Do you think, as much as you know, improv in Moscow or improv scene in Moscow is different than in the rest of Russia?
That's a good question, because a lot of the people who do improv in other places were trained here.
Okay.
So, from my understanding, St. Petersburg, I think it actually it feels pretty similar. I don't know if maybe it's the Russian mentality kind of permeates through, but it's very much more like a kind of American, European influenced kind of style.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the teachers studied at I.O., for example, or Second City, and then came back and brought that here, and kind of their own twist on it, of course. So, not so, sometimes American improv, you get people talking over each other and just really, really fast. Here's a bit slower, a bit more looking and listening, and kind of that more grounded, I would say, improv.
Okay. But
sometimes.
And sometimes
yeah, sometimes
things
not.
happen.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, but do you think there's something missing in your local improv community, or like you were saying that it's a fracture, that people don't work that much together? Is there something else that you're kind of like missing here? If you've been doing improv elsewhere, you've been traveling around, so you've seen a lot of improv.
Yeah. Definitely, I think the sense of community is probably the biggest one, because if we had that togetherness, I think a lot of the other stuff would kind of fall into place. Places to perform. I think the audience actually is a big thing we're lacking as well. You can edit that out, right? You can edit that out.
I gave you a workshop about making mistakes, so I'm not going to edit anything out.
Perfect.
Okay,
keep it.
Go on.
So the audience here, people don't know improv. It's pretty new. There's one show on television here, Improvisatia, on TNT, and they have basically just short form games, things like that. So long form improv people don't really see, Russian audiences don't really get, so I think there's a need to kind of build that audience and that appreciation for improv that a lot of other countries seem to have more of, right? So I think that's lacking too. And yeah, I guess venues, because people don't know. So you go to a theater and you're like, hey, cool, let's do improv. And they're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
Why? We're like respected and we get paid. What? Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, even long form in itself, there's not that many shows, and it's been fairly recent as well. I mean, we, like the groups I'm working with, Moscow Improv Club, for example, we've only started doing long form probably in the last year, and it's intermittent. That word that starts with an I, that means in between things,
Yes.
not very often.
Like you can just say in between, but that's also
intermediately.
Yeah,
intermediately. And we still do a lot of short form, like corporate gigs, things like that, of course, because that's what gets bums and seats. But I think trying to grow that community as well, that audience community.
Okay, and last question from me.
Okay, cool.
Is I'm gonna finish kind of like asking all the difficult questions from you. But the last question is there something that you're kind of really proud of in the community, in the improv here? That's something that you're really happy of. You're kind of like, look, we've got this.
Yeah, actually, speaking of the kind of event we organized, for me the coolest thing, the shows were great, the coaches were amazing to work with. Super wonderful, except for this one from Estonia. No, everything was fantastic and went much better than I think we imagined. Not as great as it could have been, but better than we imagined, of course. But for me, after the show, people who had, not maybe worked together before, or maybe had never done improv, where they were talking, they were congratulating each other, they were exchanging numbers, they wanted to do it again, they wanted to do more improv with each other, with other people. So that for me was kind of the coolest thing, to see people who maybe were new or hadn't, or new to each other, having that opportunity to play with each other. And I just, I looked at it and I was like, I had to step back and look at kind of the room and go, this is amazing, right? It's so cool, and that was the coolest thing. That's probably what I'm most proud of right now, and just the coming togetherness of everyone, people who never done improv before, or, as you know, and just saying, screw it, I'm gonna do it, and they did it, and the support that they had within the teams and the coaches, for sure, definitely. I think that atmosphere of acceptance, and like that's the soul of improv for me.
Okay.
I think that's the soul of improv in general. Accept, yes, and. But yeah, that acceptance and that kind of, hey, let's work together and let's do this, and no one's better than anyone else, and we're gonna have a great time.
You could feel it.
Yeah. It was the coolest thing.
Yeah. Cool. I don't have any more questions to you.
Cool. So I guess I have to ask you questions now. That's how this works.
You can ask me questions if you want to.
Yeah, sure. Why not? We're here. So Rahel, you've seen some.
I can give you the
Hello,
microphone.
I'm with Rahel.
There's the microphone.
So you've had spent a bit of time in Russia recently. You were in St. Petersburg before coming to Moscow, and I'm guessing you've seen some improv, some Russian improv.
I've seen really little Russian improv. I saw the performance that we done at Improv Generator, and then I saw an improv battle between two groups who were like battling in order to get to TV series. Yeah. So I've seen like really different kind of improv, because also that one was like really like a battle, and they were kind of working for it to find their way, and then kind of like, of course, because that was also in Russian, so I didn't understand all of it, but I felt like there was kind of really kind of like a pressure to win there. But then I've also seen the things that were happening in Improv Generator, which were exactly kind of, if we put them into this one scale, so the other side of the scale was that. So just as you said, like people with different knowledge of improv, if they are either never done it or they've done it for some time, or they've learned in IO, or like really different people coming together and just having fun. Yeah. So I've seen these two things. Of course, I wish I would have seen more, or like kind of get to know more of it, but these are kind of the small picks I've been taking right now, and then also the workshops that I did. So it's, for me, when I go abroad to teach, it's always I don't really know if people really need the thing that you're going to give them.
They always do.
Because I don't know.
Your workshop was great.
Thank you. Well, that's what I was trying to say. It was great.
Yes, of course.
You write this kind of small introduction, and you try to be as precise, or kind of like give the feeling of what's going to happen. And also it happens in festivals. People, they book them, but everyone has such a different way of doing improv, and such a different kind of, again, knowledge, or how long they've been doing it, or how kind of so-called fluent they are in it. So it's kind of like you go there, you have this idea of what you're going to give in this workshop, the topics you want to talk about, but in the end you're kind of like, you see like, okay, did these people really need this thing right now? Or it kind of just like they were there, they played the games, they had their fun, but they're not going to get anything out of it. And I've been doing now 2 workshops in St. Petersburg last year at the Russian Improv Festival, and so again 1 more in St. Petersburg now this autumn, and then 1 here. And of course the Improv Generator things also, which weren't kind of like so strictly like workshops to teach something, but just like a means to get to a format. And I've been it's really very nice feeling as a teacher if you're like, you see the students really needed the things that you're giving them. So in all of those workshops I've given here in Russia, I've been like, okay, cool, I can go home, I can be happy about it. It's like I gave them something. So that's my experience so far with improv in Russia.
Cool, that's awesome. Just kind of quickly talking about that Improv Generator thing, and that you had mentioned this feeling of you're not sure if people need it. Did you see, because it was a mixer workshop that they only had a short amount of time, and then they got on stage with what you gave them, did you find that was more rewarding to watch, or because you could see your impact right away, or was it like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, how was that?
Yeah, I think like as a teacher or director, like when you've been like kind of working for some kind of performance to come out of it, then you're mostly just like sitting there next to the stage and you're like, does this go up? Does this work up? Is this gonna happen now? Yeah. So for sure it's rewarding, and as we had very again, like there was a person there that had never done any improv before. There were people who were more or less secure about themselves doing improv on the stage. So and also kind of maybe not many of them had previous knowledge of this kind of formats. So when we started to go through these things, I mean, I started from the beginning to kind of have everyone at least on the safe patch, and for me it's really important that people, they go on the stage when they're ready for it. So I was really a bit also pleasantly surprised about people who again didn't know anything about improv but said, okay, I'm gonna take the 6 hours of a course and then go on the stage after that. I haven't met anyone like this in Estonia yet. So so it was really brave of them, and they were like, okay, cool, let's just do this. Not kind of overthinking of it. So I think that was really something that I got from them, or yes, and of course it was rewarding to watch the end and see how they were, like, because I was talking about very many things there, like I was just like giving a few hints, and then it's for them to kind of pick them up or not pick them up, and there were a few things that they picked up that I didn't know that they would have, so they were kind of like stressing on a few things, and I was like, wow, I'm really happy this thing right now just came up, so I was really happy for them, and I think they really did a good job.
That's fantastic. Good. Good. Cool.
Anything else?
No, I don't think there's too much more. We've talked about your experience with Russian improv and improvisers, talked about the kind of workshop mentality you have.
We can call the first edition of Rahel's improv podcast to end, and well, we'll see what's gonna happen next.
See what happens next? What do we do? We're like, and
scene!
I love it.
Cool.
I'll turn it off too. Okay.